John and Ken Show. John Cobell and Ken Shampoo, KFI AM 640.
All right, so we're going to be talking road diets again right now. Coming up, we'll tell you that Metro, this is the one we talked about the last couple of weeks with Jay Bieber from SaferStreetsLA.org. That was the one to have a dedicated bus line in the North San Fernando Valley. We'll give you the update on that. We're going to start, though. We're going to talk to Carl DeMaio from Kogo Radio in San Diego, and it is about taxes, but not directly. This time it is about your tax money being diverted instead of to improve the roads for mass transit and things like bike lanes and road diets. Here's a couple of cable TV ads that Carl DeMaio and his people took out to protest what's going on down in the San Diego area.
Carl DeMaio here. From raiding our road improvement funds for bus and bike lanes to gas taxes and congestion taxes, politicians keep making it harder to drive. Traffic will only get worse unless we demand change. Join me, Carl DeMaio, by signing the petition at fixsandiegoroads.org.
All right, and here's ad number 2.
Carl DeMaio here. California politicians want to turn our freeways into feeways. That's right. They want you to pay a congestion tax if you want to drive. That's just outrageous. Join me, Carl DeMaio, in opposing the congestion tax at fixsandiegoroads.org.
And now we're going to have Carl DeMaio live to talk about what's going on in the San Diego area, because what this agency called SANDAG, it's the San Diego Association of Governments, they want to cut 14 freeway and highway improvement projects, steal the money, and use it for transit, among other atrocities. Carl, how are you?
I'm doing fine, guys, and it seems like the insanity never ends. Last year, they wanted to say that they were going to fix our roads by raising the gas tax and doing a car tax, and now we're catching them red-handed stealing money from road projects and putting it all into transit. Not only the gas tax money and the car tax money, but in San Diego, voters in 2004 were asked to increase the sales tax, and we were actually given a list of projects that would be done with the money. Freeways, I-5, the 15, the 8, the 78, the 56, earmarked money. Now, SANDAG wants to vote to just simply cancel the projects, even though the voters were promised specific freeways would be expanded, and take all the money for transit. This is just—it's theft. It's dishonesty and it's theft.
Now, your sad fortune was to inherit this Hassan Ikrada. We're familiar with him because he ran the Southern California Association of Governments. And this guy believes in road diets and mass transit to the wall and will do anything to promote it.
Carl, do you know this guy's background? He's a real communist. He was educated in the Soviet Union. He worked for the communist government in Moscow. He ran the Moscow subway system 30 years ago.
Yeah. So basically, when this guy showed up, we had no idea who he was. And he was appointed in the dead of night. Someone else was supposed to get the job from within the agency. And then suddenly 2 liberal politicians waltzed in and said, nope, we're voting against that guy. We're going to go with this guy, Hassan Ikrada. He's coming from L.A. He's got all these great accomplishments. And only once he started opening his mouth did we have time to research him. And guess what? We came across your website where you were talking about him and the road diets and the fact that he came from the Soviet Union. He was educated at Moscow University. He ran the Moscow Metropolitan Transportation Agency, and now he wants to literally declare war on cars and get everybody into mass transit.
He wants to do to San Diego what they did to Russia. What the communists did to Russia.
What's interesting is he's being paid $500,000 in salary and compensation, and for a guy who says everyone else should be in the bus or riding a bike, he negotiated $1,000 a month auto allowance for himself. And I'm thinking to myself, $1,000? Nobody in the real world gets $1,000 a month for an auto allowance. I guess it comes with a private driver or something. But the guy is bad news. And, why did you pawn him off on us?
You guys hired him away. We're happy.
Yeah, I know, like that.
They gave him an offer he couldn't refuse.
I think we drove him out of L.A. County and pushed him on to the next sucker.
Well, I'm taking a page out of your book, and we are doing our level best to get this guy out of town. We're launching basically a countywide effort to get voters to contact their politicians and raise holy hell. because not only is Akrada trying to just steal the money from the projects and put it all into transit, but he has proposed not one but two separate tax increases. He wants to do another sales tax for transit, and then he wants to start something called a congestion pricing model.
Right.
In other words, he wants to charge you if you have the audacity to use freeways that you already paid for with your gas tax and your car tax. Congestion tax will be applied in San Diego. The guy is literally out of control, and he's arrogant.
Oh, yeah.
He will say that you're wrong and you're just stuck in an old model and cars are destroying humanity and you just don't know what's good for you.
We used to play tapes of him. He's got no patience with anyone else's point of view. He knows what he knows, and he's got the same ideas over and over, and he peddles them like a traveling salesman from town to town, and it's the same stuff. It's congestion pricing, it's toll lanes, it's road diets, it's anything that creates traffic or costs money. And anything that relieves traffic, he's against. Like building more freeways or widening with more lanes.
He's been making the rounds with town halls using government money. So he gets all these PR consultants to go out there, and they do these town halls, and they've got booths at street fairs. And they're literally saying that we've run out of money, we can't expand the roads. The only way to deal with the issue is through transit. And so we're out there fighting him, with just our citizens, campaign committee and passing the hat. The other interesting thing that he's been proposing is he is trying to dedicate lanes to buses. So the latest scam is they want to take a lane of traffic away. And because you know about the road diets for bikes,
right?
Dedicated bike lanes. So he's already got that, but now he wants to do dedicated bus lanes. And the very first project that he got done, which was a mid-city dedicated bus lane, they spent $41 million putting this dedicated bus lane in. And guess what? The report came out just last week. The bus is slower today than it was when you just had it on the regular streets. And there's more congestion on the road because you've lost an entire lane of traffic. So this guy's he sees a religious devotion to these absurd ideas, and the facts be damned, the data be damned.
Yeah. What we're reading is there seems to be a lot of blowback. Besides what you're doing, it sounds like some of the local politicians are not reacting well to this.
No, and so we were able to look at the bylaws and look at the ballot measure that he's trying to screw with from 2004. And what it says is as long as 1/3 of the membership of SANDAG vote no, the politicians are not allowed to change the allocation of funds that voters approved in 2004. So they thought they had the votes. And what I did was as soon as this thing started coming down, I started working with County Supervisor Jim Desmond. And I said, look, Jim, let's do a nose count. Let's find out how many of the members of the board are with us. And we were able to turn politicians because they saw the citizen rebellion forming. And so right now we have enough votes to stop them from stealing the money. We don't have enough votes to stop them from putting a tax increase on the ballot. You know they're going to do that. And so our campaign is not only to keep the votes that we have to stop the raids on roads, but also be ready to fight them at the ballot box in rejecting the tax hike.
Yeah, I mean, it was 14 different highway projects that they wanted to steal money from. And
not only steal money from, cancel. They want to cancel the project.
Yeah, they stop the projects, take the money, and blow them on all kinds of nutty transit ideas and road diets. I mean, if you give away a bike lane and a bus lane, there's not much left for the car.
Exactly, and I've actually caught them doing the raids already without a vote. What we are seeing is the annual expenditure of the tax monies currently is allocated 80% for transit and only 20% for regular use lanes on the road. And what they're arguing is, oh, well, that's just this year. We'll catch up on the roads later on and still be compliant.
Yeah,
and I'm like, no. What you're doing is you're stealing the money up front, and then you're going to turn around and say there's nothing left for those projects because with every passing year, construction projects become more expensive.
Right.
And the money for transit isn't going into, capital as much as it's going into, salaries and benefits for the bus drivers
That's the racket.
on the empty buses.
That's the racket.
Yeah.
And then when you fall short, you ask for another tax, and then you divert that money. And the cycle goes on forever.
All right, Carl, you keep fighting the communists. We'll be watching you.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm trying to find some unsuspecting town like you guys did to pawn them off.
Yeah, that's right. Send him to another
Yeah,
place.
send him to Imperial County.
All right, that's what we'll target next. Thanks much, guys.
All right, Carl DeMaio from Kogo Radio and Reform California. And, of course, his mission now is fighting road diets and bike lanes down there. They got a guy that used to be here in Southern California called Hassan Ekrada. He used to run the Southern California Association of Governments. They hired him away.
Yeah. Ekrada's like an infection.
Oh, yeah.
And we managed.
He hates the car.
Oh, my God.
He hates roads, highways, anything that the car uses.
Because he hates individualism, because he's a communist. Communists preach community, everyone in this together. No one has an advantage. Nobody makes more money than the other. Nobody has a better home than the other. That's what he grew up in. That's in his soul. So what he wants to do is take away our individual rights to drive ourselves to work and back.